Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for another installment of our Before the Snap series. Today, featuring our very special guest from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mr. Joe Lofton. And we'll dive into all things Mr. Joe Lofton here in a second. But before we get started, just want to talk a little bit about what this program is. This might be your first time tuning in. And if it is, thank you so much for tuning in today. What are you going to learn? We all know that there are some careers that always come to mind when you think of working in sports, working in football, working for a football team. But today we're going to dive into maybe one that you don't know about. So this program's here to teach not only about all the cool different types of careers there are out there in the game, but how do you get those careers and give students tuned in an opportunity to start a networking journey that they might not have started unless tuning in for the program. So for those first-time watchers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for everybody who's watched before and might be back for another episode, thank you so much again for tuning in. We are in store for another excellent program. As always, my name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth Education and Leadership Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, where it's our mission to honor the greatest of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And those values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which made our 378 Hall of Famers the best football players and minds that there are. But it can make you a great student, makes me a great employee here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I know Joe well enough that I'm pretty sure he takes those values to heart as well. And it makes him a great person and employee for the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So I'm excited to hear how these values has impacted Joe's life and career throughout his time working in and around the game of football. Before we get started, though, some thank yous. First, want to thank our professors, educators, teachers, anybody that shared their program with their students today, watching us live in their class, or maybe our students are watching us on their own. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a small part of your learning experience. Have to thank the students as well. Like I said in the beginning, this is an opportunity for you to start a networking journey. Reach out to Joe and learn more about his career after the program is over. And maybe that starts the snowball effect. It snowed here this morning, so I gotta throw that in there. The snowball effect of you reaching out to other people that have a job that you might be interested in to get to know them as well. So students, as always, we're live on YouTube. Go ahead in the chat section there. In the live chat, put your name and what school you go to. We're trying to see how many great schools and universities we can have tuned in today. And as always, if you have a question, go ahead and put that in there as well. The earlier you get your question in the live chat, the better chance we have of getting it in the program. We'll be continually to remind you throughout the program today to get these questions in. But if you don't have one right now, at least let us know what your name is and where you're watching us from here today. Lastly, we have to thank our special guest today, Mr. Joe Lofton, who is the football development manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers, whose role is to grow the game of football, provide opportunities and resources for the community, and provide coaching education throughout Western Pennsylvania. So without further ado, Joe, welcome to Before the Snap.
Jacob, I appreciate that intro. That was fantastic. Great to see everybody. If we could do anything today, hopefully we inspire somebody to want to work in sports and have a pretty long career. It's an awesome industry to be in. But I just want to say first and foremost, thank you guys for having me on.
We're super excited to hear, obviously, not too far away from us here in Canton, Ohio. And we've got to work with you on some projects prior. So we're super excited to sit down and, really dive into who Joe Lofton is and what you do on a day-to-day basis. And we'll start with that. We kind of talked a little bit there in the bio about what you handle, some of the things, but can you kind of dive in and tell us, what's the day-to-day life look like for you as the football development manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, awesome. And you hit it right on the nose. Yeah, just to properly introduce myself, my name is Joe Lofton, football development manager for the Steelers. And just like you said, our number one job is to provide opportunities and grow this game of football, and that's for boys and girls. And so, on a day-to-day basis, my day never looks the same. And I can argue that our off season is more busy for me than during the season. And so today we play the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, so that should be a great matchup. But on a day-to-day basis, what we're constantly doing is just finding opportunities for kids. And so we have a small department. There's three of us in the football development program, myself, Kevin Ackerman, and Mike Marchinsky. And every single day we're in communication with athletic directors, coaches, parents, kids, NFL flag organizations. We work with over 230 or so youth organizations. And so I always say if we don't get right back to you with an email or a phone call, that's why we're always constantly talking to somebody. And so, what my day looks like right now on a day-to-day basis. So right now we're in high school football season, and we actually have high school football championships coming up this Saturday at Acrisure Stadium. We're lucky enough to have some sponsors on board to help us put high school football on live television, and so we just want to promote football as much as possible. We want to inspire kids at home to try to play football, whether it's flag football, tackle football, or even inspire some parents to want to get out and coach, as well as officials. You know, everybody plays a significant role in this sport, and no role is less significant than the other. And so, high school football is rolling right now. At the same time, we're also projecting and looking at girls flag football in 2025 for our spring season. We are going into our fourth season. We launched in 2022. And so those day-to-day efforts, we're just working on the big project. We're growing, we're expanding. There's new teams, new coaches. College wants to get involved as well, which is super exciting. So, how can we help our community and help grow those efforts? And so, one day I might be working on high school football. Another day I might be working on our phys ed program, where we go out into elementary schools and essentially take over their gym class for a day and get an opportunity to meet some players, meet Steely McBeam, and really just come out and have some fun and properly introduce the game of football to some kids and have some fun and really just show what it is to be a part of Steeler Nation in this community. So I hope that answered it, but that's kind of what the day to day looks like right now.
Awesome. It's a great way. I want to parlay that into, you talked about, Brown Steelers have a Thursday night game, not at home, in Cleveland here. But I want to talk about, let's say that game's home. Let's say you got a Thursday night home game, home game on a Sunday. What's your game day look like? Talk a little bit about the off season and being busy and running all these camps and things during the school year. What does a game day look like for you? And what are some of your responsibilities that you have to take on during a game?
Yeah, great question. So we fall under the fan experience department. And so when you step onto a campus for a Steeler game, from everything that you see, everything that you touch and feel, we want that to be a great experience by the time you get to your seat. And from my perspective, our job is to promote the game of football. So we do some really cool things on game day. First and foremost, we always have our youth co-captains walk out with our team captains. So there's nothing like walking out in front of 68,400 fans with TJ Watt and Cameron Hayward, and we pull kids from all over Western Pennsylvania to come out and walk out with our captains. And that's just one of the rewards of playing football. Thank you for playing. Here's a reward. And so that's something that we do with the hopes of, inspiring someone in the stands to say, hey, like, I want to be that kid. I want to try football, or that girl who wants to try flag football. We want to try to inspire the next generation to get involved. And so that's one aspect. We also honor coaches of the week each game. And so we try to give flowers to our high school football coaches who are doing great things on the football field, but also doing great things in their community. So in the second quarter, at the 2 minute warning, we honor two high school football coaches. They receive a grant for their football boosters. Luckily, we have some sponsors that kind of help with some gift cards and help their football team out. And so, again, just another way to try to promote the game. Let's inspire that dad or that mom to try to get involved in their local communities to try to give back, and that's through football. And so we do a lot of the planning, the logistics, a lot of escorting in regards to game day. And like I said, my day never looks the same. Some days we may have girls flag football at halftime, or another game we may have youth tackle at halftime. So, we gotta work on buses and parking and credentials and wristbands and tickets and vouchers. And so it's a good fun problem to have, because at the end of the day, just you can see the looks on the kids' faces that they'll never forget that experience coming into Acrisure Stadium. And I always say we like to try to make people jealous, the people that aren't involved in football, whether it's coaching or playing. We want to try to make them jealous so that they can start to get involved and be involved with their communities. And so that's two things, possibly three, that we kind of do. Like I said, it never looks the same. It doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, sunshine. it's going to be a game day and fans are going to show up. So we got to make sure they have a great experience while they watch football. So that's kind of what it looks like from a game day perspective.
I like that. I might steal that line about making other people jealous that aren't involved in the game. I think it's a it's a kind of a unique way to look at, how important the game of football is and the impact it can leave. And you and the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, as well as high school sports in Pittsburgh and the state organization, just got high school girls flag sanctioned as a high school sport, which I know is a big movement that's going on through the United States right now. I know definitely in Ohio, it's a our youth football team there in Cleveland is doing the same thing, trying to get that sanction. What did that mean for you? Not only, to see it happen, but to be like a key force and a key factor in getting it sanctioned, giving girls across the state of Pennsylvania in high school the opportunity to play a sport they didn't know they might love to play or they love playing it, but to provide a path for them to be involved in the game of football.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the most rewarding part about it is just seeing the journey. This is a brand new sport that a lot of people don't know about. And so how do you introduce that to the public? How do you get people interested? How do you get coaches involved? And so we kicked that thing off in 2022. And we started small. We started with girls flag jamborees of this is flag football 101. And then we transitioned into an actual league in the spring. And so in 2022, we had 6 teams playing in our Steelers Girls Flag League. And it's grown so much over the years that we had to partner with an NFL flag organization just to help, with coaching and officials and field setups because it's grown so much. And, we just wrapped up our third season, so we expanded from 6 teams to 36. And so, next spring we're shooting for 50 and 55 and 60 and keep it growing. I have to say we had a lot of support as well from the Philadelphia Eagles and Dan Levy. Dan did a great job over there. And, we all have the same mission here, and that's to provide people the opportunity to play football. And so we don't care your age, we don't care your gender. Like football is for everybody. And so, for me, there are girls that have been here since day one that, they just started to try and figure out what it is. And now you fast forward to see their growth and they're playing full throttle. They are absolutely crushing it right now. And so it's very inspiring. We hope to get some more states sanctioned, but we are very proud of what we did here at the Pittsburgh Steelers, but we still have a lot of work to do. So we look forward to it. And yeah, Gross Flag is just amazing. So I'm sure you guys have seen it would be a part of the Olympics in 2028, which is absolutely huge. And so, it's a great initiative, and we look forward to continue to helping those around us.
It's awesome, being involved here at the Hall of Fame. We've had the opportunity to work with, the Cleveland Browns and the team there in Cleveland and Hannah Lee to get some girls flag to play at halftime of the Hall of Fame game. And it's so cool because, not a lot of people leave their seats when they head out there to play at halftime. And it's a cool thing to see them cheer and, the league to put out highlights of double reverse passes that we told everybody to run before the game started. So it's very cool to see. And, from us here at the Hall of Fame, we want to say just a big congratulations for not only getting it sanctioned, but and a huge thank you for all the work that you do for those girls in high school, giving them an opportunity to play a sport that, hopefully one day that they might play in the Olympics or they might, it might move them to work in sports. You're providing so many people a path in sports, and that's so cool to hear. So I'm going to send it over now to Nathan Martin, who's the Youth Education and Leadership Coordinator here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's got some of our student questions that have been rolling in. So, Nathan, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Jake. And I don't normally do this, but I got a personal question I'm going to ask Joe before we dive into our students. So that'll give the students some more time. Go ahead on YouTube, submit questions. Let us know where you're watching it from. But Joe, I got to ask you. So it's pretty commonplace to hear people talk about workplace culture and the importance of having a great culture where you work. And we've done enough of these programs. We've heard people talk about, yeah, the football side of things impacts the culture on the business side of things. And the Steelers, I mean, they've had 3 head coaches in the franchise history. Coach Tomlin is known just, with the standard is the standard. How does the culture that the football side of things have kind of trickle over and impact the stuff that you guys are doing that is youth facing and impacting schools and young people there in the Pittsburgh area?
Yeah, great question, and I appreciate that. And you said it perfectly, right? The standard is the standard, and it's really that simple. Not only does our football team take that to heart, but I think we as a staff take that to heart as well. We want to be the best. We're very grateful for the opportunity to be a part of the National Football League. If you guys think about it, there's only 32 NFL clubs in the country. There's only 32. And so just to be a part of that means a ton. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, and just to be able to say that I work for, my hometown team is truly a blessing. And so but yeah, we that's how we roll. The standard is a standard, and I think it starts from the top all the way down, from the Roonies to Omar Khan, our general manager. All it trickles all the way down. And I think there's so much respect from the top, and it's an influence on us when we go out and we represent this logo out in public, and whenever we're out in the community, it truly means a lot. We're truly a part of a great culture, and starting with Mike Tomlin, the players, the staff, we love getting our guys out in the community, whether they're coming out to our youth football camps. I think our community relations department does a great job of getting our guys out in the public as well. But that's truly what it means. And football is one aspect of it, but taking care of our community is the other aspect, and it's very important.
Yeah, I mean, culture matters. It impacts you going home knowing you're making an impact, and um, makes you excited to come to work because you're working in an environment that's fun. So that's our hope, for all these students, that they can find places that they fit right into that culture. And I misspoke. It's not three coaches in the whole franchise history. It's three coaches since 1969, which is longer than my lifetime, longer than Joe's, longer than Jake's. It's a long time. But let's get to a student question here. We got Robert submitted this question ahead of time. Robert's from New Mexico State University. Wants to kind of hear, Joe, do you guys, specifically in your department, do you guys hire summer interns or seasonal interns? And if not, what are some of the other departments you've seen down in Pittsburgh that tend to always have like a rotational and internship opportunity available for students that are looking to gain experience?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Wherever you're calling in from, New Mexico State, you said.
Yeah,
I
Robert
appreciate
from
that
New Mexico
question.
State. Yep.
So yeah, first and foremost, I want to let you know that anytime we have opportunities available, they will be available on teamworkonline.com. That will be your bread and butter. I also highly advise LinkedIn as well. Those are two resources of if we have opportunities out there, that is where they will be at. Just the first one off top of my head is our marketing department. So we hire college students to come in as brand ambassadors. They assist with training camp or youth football camps in the summertime, game day events, sponsored events with partnership. A lot of fans come to Steeler games thinking they're going to meet TJ Watt outside of the stadium. You most likely won't, but you will meet, Brandon Artman from the marketing department who is managing the Prizeville line on Art Rooney Avenue before you come in. And that experience means everything to our fans. We want everybody to have a great experience. And so um, so I would advise their marketing is one department. Like I said, training camp, game days, events. You're going to be public facing to the public. And so if you like working with fans, if you like, making sure people have a good time, that's somewhere you will want to be at. The second one I could think of off the top of my head is stadium, at Acrisure Stadium. Um, and that's the exciting part, man. There's so many departments in this sport. If you want to be in marketing, if you want to be in communications, if you want to be in stadium operations, athletic training, if you want to be there's so many departments. Um, People are always looking for staff, and so you just got to do some research. We all have these things right here called cell phones and access to the internet, and I highly advise you guys to take advantage of that and really just try to find out what you're passionate about is what I would recommend. And even through my journey, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I just tried as many things as I could. And my road wasn't a straight road. I could promise you that. I tried this, I didn't like it. I tried this, it was great experience, but that was only a seasonal position. Now I'm where I'm at because all of these steps and all these things that I tried. over the years. So to answer that question, I would recommend looking into two of those. But like I said, Teamwork Online and LinkedIn would be two avenues that I would check out.
Yeah, those are great resources, and you're not the only guest that's been on Before the Snap that's touted those as a place for students to look, to use as a networking tool. And we've provided the link to your LinkedIn page for students to go ahead and connect. If we don't get to their question, connect with Joe offline, and hopefully you can get that question answered. You mentioned your road and your journey a little bit in that response, and I got to kind of lean into that. So Tori from Tiffin University submitted a question ahead of time. Tori wants to know, what are some of the behind the scene roles and responsibilities that contribute to a successful NFL game? And then how does someone start getting experience to potentially work in some of those behind the scene roles? So Sunday, afternoon, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, whatever day of the week you guys are playing the game, what are some of those key behind the scene roles that you've seen in your experience, Joe, that students could maybe be looking to volunteer and get experience working at Tiffin or working at wherever they go to school, so that they'd be ready for the big time if they get the chance to work for an NFL club?
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate that question from my fellow Tiffin Dragon. Hopefully there's some Woodland Hills Wolverines on as well. But in terms of game day, and behind the scenes, like I said, there's just so many departments that you can look into that you're interested in. For me, just to speak on my behalf, my job is sometimes absolutely chaotic. But from a fan perspective, you would never know that because our job is to make sure you don't see that.
Yep.
My job is to make sure you're having the best time in your life from your seat watching the game and watching this girls flag game or youth tackle game at halftime. And so that's it from my perspective as far as behind the scenes. And I think leading up until it could get, we work a lot of hours. We work a lot of nights and holidays, which people, if you're going to work in sports, that's what you have to be ready for. And so it could get a little stressful, but I think the most rewarding part about my job is kickoff at 1:02 p.m. in front of 68,000 fans. I mean, I've seen it a million times and I get chills every single time. Like this is what I grind for, this right here. And just understanding that people pay a lot of money to be where we are at, just to be down there and be a part of your experience means the world to me. And Nathan, what was the other part of that question? I'm sorry.
Just some of the different tasks that you've seen that have to be done, from a production standpoint, maybe from the football side, the equipment work. Like, what are some of those jobs that you see people kind of running around on game day that the casual fan is not going to see, right? But those jobs have to be done in order for Sunday to happen the way that we see it, executed on TV.
Yeah, I don't know if we have enough time for me to get through every department, but just from what I see,
High level.
I think our marketing department does a fantastic job with our fan experience. And so they are here, I couldn't even tell you, 6, 7 hours before kickoff,
Mm-hmm.
making sure things are set up for the fan experience, making sure our sponsors have some visual and aspect on the game day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, if you look at a stadium before everyone gets in there, people are, managing the fields, people are working in the concessions. I think our press box crew does a fantastic job with the game experience, building packages throughout the week. Our communications department is working on the media guide and all the information needed for the media to be able to tell their story on game days. And like I said, there's just so many aspects of this game, and I would just recommend doing some research to kind of find out what you like personally, because there are so many jobs that go into game day, and like I said, no role is less significant than the other. We all play a role in this and making sure, we have nothing to do with on the field, but everything off the field, we can make sure that experience is great for all of our fans.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think you did a good job of highlighting two or three big areas where the work's being done behind the scenes, and there's probably another 15, 20 that we could have easily done. But we want to ask you some more questions. I'm going to send it back to Jake right now to do some more questions that we've got prepared. But I want to encourage the students, keep submitting questions. We'll come back to you guys at some point. We'll get some more student questions in before we let Joe go today. But Jake, it's all yours now.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Students, thanks for submitting those questions ahead of time. If you do have questions, like Nathan said, make sure you go ahead and submit those online. We've got the YouTube chat pulled up, and we'll be looking at those throughout the rest of the program today. Sports are a unique opportunity to be a part of some really cool things. That there's a running joke that, some of us here say, people would pay a lot of money to get to do the things that we get to do on a day-to-day basis. Whether it's Hall of Fame weekend, stuff at the Super Bowl, Hall of Fame game, things like that. So Joe, in your career, I know was still pretty early, but is there a moment for you that kind of makes you take a step back and go, wow, I can't believe I was there. We like to say, you retire right now, you kick back, family comes up and says, Joe, what was your favorite thing you got to be a part of, or the coolest experience you had? So if you had to pick something, what would your experience game moment be for you that makes you go, wow, I can't believe I was there?
There's so many. I'm gonna try to give you two, maybe three. Um, One of them was actually just most recent. I was able to go down to Monterrey, Mexico, and we hosted a flag football camp down there, as well as a watch party for about 2,000 fans or so. And just to know that there are fans all over this world in different countries who support us was a unique experience. And so we had a flag camp down there to try to teach kids of this is football with a good introduction. And we had some legends out there. We had Cordell Stewart, Dermontti Dawson, Jeff Hardings, Carnell Lake. And so, and we can't do it without those guys. And those guys are more than willing to get out in the community and have some fun. And so that's one memory. Like I said, number two for me is kickoff every single time. Just knowing that, like I said earlier, there's only 32 clubs in the country, and I think the AFC North is very legit. But we get opportunity to play different teams from different conferences, and you know, college football, just to be able to get in college football is tough. To be able to get to the NFL is even harder. And then when you get to the NFL, there's levels of different players. There are elites. And so, I got a chance to watch Ben Roethlisberger play for a very long time here, which is pretty awesome. I've seen that man do some tremendous things. Even guys like Cameron Hayward that are still playing until this day. And up and coming TJ Watt, these guys are future Hall of Famers. So getting a chance to get a chance to see those guys play firsthand is a remarkable experience.
And
And I think the last part I will probably say is we host some very cool youth football camps in the summertime. We host 4 big camps, and kids, I think last year we had kids flying from 28 different states to be a part of our youth football camps. And it's just so humbling to know that people will take time and spend money to be able to hang out with us at our youth football camps. And at the camps, you get a chance to learn to play every single position in football, whether it's quarterback, running back, special teams, but you also get opportunity to meet some current and former players. And so that experience, you can't beat it. You get autographs and gear, you play football, get to meet your favorite players. And so, just seeing the kids' reaction to that is probably one of the best parts of my job.
awesome. Well, you mentioned working with some legends, and a lot of those legends that you get to work with, we have enshrined here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The Steelers obviously have had a great franchise, winning franchise, and a lot of success, and a lot of that is honored here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We mentioned at the beginning, what we like to do is we like to showcase what we do here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mentioned we honor the greatest of the game and preserve its history. So, we are a museum. And we like to show that off a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to send it out to the Pro Football Hall of Fame gallery, where we have a member of our team, Katie Heiston, we were going to surprise you, but Katie's got a little bit of a surprise that is going to show you as well. So Katie, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Hi, Jake. Welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame gallery here inside the Hall of Fame. This is definitely my favorite part of the museum and one of our most famous spots, as it holds all 378 bronze butts, as you can see behind me. So what does it mean to have one of these? There are over 300 million people who have ever played football. about 5 million people to play the game in college, and just about 30,000 people who have ever been paid to play the game of football. Yet, out of those 5,000 people who've been paid to play, there are only 378 Pro Football Hall of Famers, which is incredible. They're truly the best of the best. So within these 378, there are 32 former Steelers players, either players or front office staff who are members of the Hall. So normally I would showcase one of these bronze busts like Dermontti Dawson's beside me here. But what's better than that? Having the actual Hall of Famer themselves. So Dermontti, welcome to Before the Snap.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
How are you guys?
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So we have Joe on our show who works for the Steelers. And
Hey, Joe.
I know you guys just saw each other.
In Monterrey, Mexico.
Yeah. So just want to know, what does it mean to you to be a former Steeler, and what did it mean to you?
Well, I mean, me being a former Steeler, it just means that I was a hard worker, because these guys are working class people in Pittsburgh, along with the mentality that the Steelers have and the leadership of the Steelers team, the Rooney family. It's solid as a rock. And I think that's the reason we had so much success throughout the years.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks, Jake. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Dermontti, for being a part of the program today. Joe, we hope that was a bit of a surprise for you.
Yeah, what a surprise. Probably the nicest guy I've ever met. A guy that was a wrecker on the field, but just a tremendous guy, a nice guy off the field. Yeah, Dermontti's the best.
For those of you wondering why Dermontti Dawson is part of Before the Snap today, we didn't just fly him in to surprise Joe. Joe, we love you, but not that much. Dermontti Dawson is actually here in Canton, Ohio, as part of the Hall of Fame's residency program. We had a former Steeler here last week as well, and Mr. Rod Woodson. They're here to take in Canton, Ohio, give back to the community, and experience what the Hall of Fame is all about. So from us at the Hall of Fame and our youth education leadership team, Mr. Dawson, thank you so much for being part of the program. And Joe, I hope that was a bit of a surprise. I'm glad you mentioned him right before we went to him too. That made it even better.
What a surprise. Yeah, that was awesome.
Now, kind of jumping back into, obviously you see these Hall of Famers, for you as a football fan, what is it like to work with a guy like Dermontti Dawson? We do a lot of work here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame with Charlie Batch, Steelers legend as well. What is it for you to just to show up to work and go, oh, sorry guys, I gotta go work with Dermontti Dawson here for a little bit?
I mean, it's awesome, man. We have a great alumni base here. I think we do a great job of keeping them looped into the organization. And I think it starts from the top down. I think when guys are drafted as Steelers, there's also, there's a football plan aspect of, can you play for the Steelers? But I also think there's an aspect of what type of person are you? So it's football and character. And, I think all of our guys across the line are just great people. And, yes, they care about football, but they also care about the community as well. And so I think they do a fantastic job. I think our current guys are also doing a fantastic job. It is a tough, long season, and guys, they don't get a lot of time off. They're not really with their families throughout the season, but here these guys are out in the community visiting nonprofits and youth football organizations and just giving back to the community. And it, like I said, it starts from the top down.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your journey was like to get to the Steelers? Tell us a little bit about, obviously you mentioned earlier you went to Tiffany University. Can you talk a little bit about your journey and some of the stops along the way before you landed with the Steelers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one moment that really sticks out to me that completely changed my life, and I really wanted to share this. I was a big basketball guy my entire life. I loved the Los Angeles Lakers. I loved Kobe Bryant. We're from Pittsburgh. We don't have an NBA team. And so I gravitated towards the Lakers. But in 2006, I watched the 2006 Rose Bowl. It was Reggie Bush versus Vince Young. And that was my first time ever watching football. I've never watched football until 2006. And when I tell you by the end of that game, I was like, I don't know who number 5 is for USC, but I want to get involved in football. So that completely changed my life. And I started playing football in 9th grade. I'm fortunate enough to have played for a legendary high school football coach in George Novak from Woodland Hills. That guy saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And so to fast forward from ninth grade to my senior year, I worked hard in school. I was fortunate enough to get an offer from Tiffin University, a small Division II school in the middle of Ohio. We're kind of central between Bowling Green and Toledo. And so it was football and school from there on out. And I remember having a conversation with my dad, and he said, like, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I want to go to the NFL, just like any other young boy out there. That's every man's dream, is to play the NFL. And he said, okay, well, if you don't make it to the NFL, what's your backup plan? And I said, I don't know. I would like to play the NBA. But having that conversation went a long way. That really woke me up to, okay, if I don't make it, what am I going to do? And I'm one of those guys that, if I can't play the sport, I have to be around it. It truly makes me happy. It doesn't matter the sport. Just sports just has an impact on you. And I love how it brings people from different walks of life, from different states and different countries. You're all rooting for the same team or the same, organization. And I just love how sports just, it's a break from reality. You get a chance to watch some professionals play some sports, and I think it's a unique experience. So when I was at Tiffin University, I studied sport management, and lucky for me, I had a great mentor in the great Bonnie Till, who does a fantastic job with that sport management program at Tiffin. And I always wanted to get involved, and I understood that there's only three professional sport teams in Pittsburgh: the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so my mindset coming out of college was I have to make it with those three teams. There's no other option. And so that was my plan A, and I never had a plan B. So that was my mindset coming out of school. But while I was at Tiffin, I played football, and it was a great experience, man. That's where I met some of my best friends, and we're friends until this day. My sophomore year at Tiffin, I stayed the summer and I did a basketball internship because Bonnie said, what are you going to do to separate yourself from the group? If there's 100 people in the room, what is it about you that is going to make that organization select you? And so, that really took me a long way. So I really just wanted to get some experience on my resume. And so my sophomore year, I interned with the basketball team. And then my junior year, I stayed another summer and I took an internship with the football team and some scouting. And so, when I graduated, I wanted to hit the ground running, understanding that I got to make it. I have to. You know, Another motivation was I understood how much college tuition actually cost and, what I put my parents through over those 4 years. So, let's not like don't go to school if you're not going to take advantage of it. So that was another motivation for me coming out of school. So fast forward to me graduating from Tiffin. I've never told anybody this story, but I would say I probably took a 2-day break after school, and then one day I didn't own a car at the time. I borrowed my mom's car. I think I printed about 20 to 25 resumes, and I walked to every single professional sports team, college. I went to a couple high schools. Hey, I'm Joe Lofton. I want to work in sports. How do I get in here? And so, that's the way I did it. That's my story. I can't tell anybody else what to do. But that was my mindset coming out of school of I'm gonna just show up and say yes to every opportunity that comes my way. My first job out of Tiffin was actually with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so I don't know a thing about baseball, but I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I started off helping at their Pirates charities, which is their 50-50. And so, was it a job that I wanted to do for the rest of my life? No. Was it a great way to get into sports? Absolutely. Because once you get in the sports door, it's a giant spider web that you got to take advantage of. And I would just advise to the young folks out there, just to keep networking and keep making connections. I'm 10 years in with the Steelers, and I am not done networking. Everywhere I go, I have my business cards with me, and I always want to meet the next person. We're never done learning, and we're never done networking ever. And so my first job was with the Pirates. When I was there, I networked. I met someone who worked for the Penguins and did the same thing. So my second job was with the Pens Foundation, also helping out with their 50-50. Again, Is this something that I want to do for the rest of my life? No. Did I get my foot in the door by doing that? Absolutely. And so, Steelers training camp was coming up. My best friend went to St. Vincent College, and he told me about an opportunity. They were looking for people to work training camp. And, I think training camp is one of those jobs that a lot of people don't want to do. It's a 3-week grind of 80-degree weather, 85-degree weather. You're outside every day. It's hot. You got fans coming in ready for autographs every single day. And so I applied for that internship to work training camp. And thankfully, Mike Marchinsky saw something in me. I already had a good resume when I walked in there. So I would advise you guys to try to get as much as you can on your resume before, applying to some positions and coming out of school, because it helped me along my journey. And so, I got to training camp. There were probably about 25 of us. And I said, wow, I could hear Bonnie in the back of my head saying, what are you going to do to separate yourself from the rest of this group? So, I just worked my tail off. I said yes to every opportunity. I found out who the important people were in the organization, and I found out how to meet that person and how can I help you. And, 10 years later, I just continued to climb that ladder, keep climbing. And, it's crazy now. Now I'm the football development manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if you ask me, what I would be doing when I first started, I had no idea. I just followed the path, and I took the journey, and I learned along my way. And there's some jobs that I didn't like along the way. I found out that I'm not the biggest fan of stadium operations, but was it a good experience for me? Absolutely. It opened up my eyes to what they go through on a day-to-day basis. So at Acrisure Stadium, we share with the college football team, the Pitt Panthers. And so that stadium crew is working Pitt and Steelers. And so, hats off to those guys. They grind tremendously. But I eventually found what I truly like, and that's being under this youth football umbrella.
Awesome. Well, Joe, what you failed to mention, also a professional football player. Got to play some Arena League time there for the team, that the organization down there in West Virginia. I was reading some stuff about your team here off to the right as you were talking. So not only did you go through all that, in the middle of all that, got to play some professional football in the Arena League as well. So I know we got some more questions we want to get to from our students, so I'm going to throw it back to Nathan Martin for some of those. So Nathan, take it away.
Yeah, Jake, thanks. And Joe, you kind of walked through your journey there. But we have a student here, Elliot from Mercer, that wants to know, what would you say was your biggest obstacle, and how did you overcome that? Maybe something that could inspire or motivate the college students that are watching today.
Yeah, I would say honestly, the biggest obstacle was just trying to get in. It was trying to get in. Understanding that the people that are in these organizations have been there a long time, and there's only so many positions to go around. And so understanding that going in of, okay, I really got to prove myself here because these people aren't retiring anytime soon. So, just trying to figure out how to get in. How do I get my foot in the door? And then once I get in that door, how do I kick it down and find an opportunity and work my way up? So that was probably my biggest obstacle.
So let's dive in a little deeper. And this actually segues perfectly into this question from Juan that we got from Boston College. Wants to know, like, you've talked about, you had the professor at Tiffin that said, how are you going to stand out? What are you going to do to stand out? You talked about, you get through the obstacle of getting in. It's like, how am I going to stand out? There's 25 other interns working training camp this year. What to you makes a student that you see, or, a young employee, stand out? A lot of these college students, they're going to be getting that first or second internship experience. Maybe they're going to get that first full-time entry-level job. How can they stand out? What are the practical steps you would tell them, hey, I would do X, Y, and Z, and I think you'll stand out?
Yeah, I think the first one is indirectly, and that's, what do you have on your resume and what does your cover letter look like? If I see that you have experience working with youth, or you worked at a YMCA, or you took time to do an internship or volunteer somewhere, that's a plus. So walking into your interview, I'm going to ask you about that in your interview process. And then number two, how are you in person? That's directly. So how are you, in front of fans? How are you working with kids? How are you, if you're being a coach, whatever that may be, directly, how are you as a person? And, I think, like I said, you just got to make yourself stand out. And so for me personally, I just always said yes to every opportunity that came my way. And, it's easy to say I worked my tail off, but that's honestly what the majority of us do to make it.
I think, you're maybe selling yourself short, like the saying yes to everything. Like not everyone wants to do that, right? It sounds like simplistic and, anyone could say yes to everything, but most people don't. So you will stand out if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to say yes to no matter how big or how small that task may seem. You will stand out if your resume and cover letter are clean and neat and have relevant experience to what you're applying for. And then I liked your point too, just like what are you like as a person? Like when I interview you, are you somebody that I'm like, man, I think they're going to do great with kids. I think they're going to do great with fans. I think they could do great if the ownership group walked in here right now. They in any environment, they're going to be able to handle themselves professionally. They're going to be someone that I'm going to enjoy working with. All those things, we control that as potential employees or students control that. So I think that's all great advice, Joe. I really appreciate you doing that. I know Jake's got a couple things he wants to wrap up with, but on behalf of myself and the students, man, thank you for being on Before the Snap today. Students, if we didn't get to your question or, you've been motivated to continue to kind of build your network and kind of maybe get into that web, connect with Joe on LinkedIn or myself or Jake, whoever. We would love to hear from you more and continue to help you guys learn more about the sports industry and to build that network. So again, thank you, Joe, for being on Before the Snap. Jake, back to you.
Thanks, Nathan. Yes, Joe, just a few more things to wrap up here. First, we're going to start with our rapid fire questions. Got 7 for you. Going to be the first thing that comes to your mind when we ask those. And then the last question we're asked is kind of, just something to sum up everything with that we've talked about today. So rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Number 1, LinkedIn. Great way to network. Just another social media app.
Oh, great way to network. Absolutely.
Number 2, GPA on a resume. Leave it on, keep it off.
Leave it on.
Number 3, social media accounts, public or private?
I think that's up to the individual. If you got stuff you don't want people seeing, it probably shouldn't be public.
Number 4, jeans at work. All day, every day. Never, only on casual Fridays.
Only casual Fridays.
Number 5, coin toss, heads or tails.
Heads.
You score a touchdown. What's the go-to touchdown celebration?
Oh, the gritty. No question.
And to be honest, we'll pause here. All the answers this year have been the gritty, or they're just going to hand the ball to the ref. Those have been our 2 most popular touchdown celebrations. And then lastly, this is a new one we added this year. Can you compare your job to a flavor of ice cream?
Ooh. I would probably say chocolate and vanilla swirl because that's my mind every single day in this industry. It's a swirl of different challenges, but they're good challenges and they're good problems to have.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for those. Hopefully, those are some fun questions, but hopefully our students tuned in can learn a little bit from that. First, I want to echo before we wrap up here the sentiment that Nathan said as well. Joe, thank you so much for being a part of the program today. This is game day for you. So we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule here today to speak with us. Last question we have is, so many good tips and tricks throughout the program today, but if there's one idea, one thing, one tip that you want everybody to walk away with today, whether they're watching us live now or they're watching us down the road, what's that one piece of advice you want somebody to leave with today?
I would say find out what you're passionate about because, if you're passionate about something that you do, it's not really a job. I can honestly say, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, we get up every day happy to go to work, and every day is a new experience. And like I said, there's only 32 clubs to be a part of. So to be a part of that is amazing. So I would just say, find out what you're passionate about. Is it coaching? Is it scouting? Is it PR? Is it youth football? There's so many avenues that you can check out. And I just would advise everybody to figure out what you like. You may not be forward facing to the public, but you may like being in stadium operations. And so I would just say, do your research, find out what you truly like, and it will help you along your journeys.
Awesome. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up episode 101 of Before the Snap series, of our Before the Snap series today, featuring Joe Lofton, the football development manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe, again, thank you so much for being part of the program today.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Good luck, everybody out there.
Yes, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. We are going to take a break for a while. We'll be back in the new year, 2025, with another semester of great programs. But as always, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, everything we have here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as well as the Steelers, to see all the great things that they're doing out in the community. So from Joe, myself, Nathan, all of our staff here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, including Hall of Famer Damani Dawson, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in today, and we hope to see you next year. Bye, everybody.